So the latest Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland, Spider-Man No Way Home, is coming out this December, that everyone is anticipating because Tobey Maguire and Garfield might come back, and other cast members because of the multiverse. Who knows? But anyway, I guess this is the best time to look back at the other Spider-Man films. So this is gonna be just a two part video where I'm gonna be talking. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about the Rami films. Next one, I'm gonna be talking about the Webb movies. So anyway, let's get right into talking about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. So now going into number one, I gotta just say this and the Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite superhero or comic book franchise trilogy. Or when it comes to the Raimi films, the first two. I'll talk about three later in this video. But anyway, basically the whole thing about why I like the Raimi Spider-Man was that Raimi actually just gets how to make Spider-Man good. And Raimi is definitely one of my favorite directors who makes superhero films, up there with T.T., James Gunn, and Christopher Nolan. Those are my top four superhero directors, and if they're ever going to make a superhero film, I will definitely go see it. And that's why I'm actually more excited about the new Doctor Strange movie, is because Raimi, is a good knows how to make a horror and a superhero film, and that's why I think Doctor Strange would be great. And disclaimer, I have not seen Darkman or any of the Evil Dead films. I've only seen Spider-Man and, yes, Oz the Green and Powerful. But anyway, so the first Spider-Man movie is really great. It has a lot of stupid stuff. The Green Goblin's costume is the most stupidest thing I've ever seen. The lighting is really bad. Kirsten Dunst's wig is not good, and her acting is off. Tobey Maguire's acting, it's good, but I still think he's good. But Willem Dafoe is great. And yes, the extras are very corny. Everything about this movie is great. It's interesting when you watch this and you watch the MCU, how the comedy I feel works better of just how stupid and cheesy it is. And that's why it's more lovable this way. And just like watching this, it is just fascinating. That's why I like this and two more than any of the MCU movies. Though I still like Guardians and Thor Ragnarok, but watching Spider-Man after years, it is still nice watching it and actually knowing that there is something just very special about rewatching it. And I don't know, I can't say that much. I love this film. Yeah, it has a lot of problems. The effects aren't good, some of the acting, but it's just a fun comic book movie. And I just think the fact that this was a movie that is practically in development hell, and how it actually worked from all these drafts from Cannon, James Cameron, David Fincher, with all these ideas, especially Cannon, who wanted to turn Spider-Man into a Wolfman creature because the producers had no idea. But it's glad to see that after all these old trials and errors, we actually finally got a really great Spider-Man movie, and I love it. It's definitely one of the best Spider-Man and Marvel movies. Now, Spider-Man 2 is also great, but there is some things I think overall halt it down, and that the big one is just the idea of Jameson's son. I don't know, it's just such a weird one. It's we never get to see Jameson interact with him or interact with MJ. But anyway, this movie is still good. I just think there's, again, some stuff hold it down. And another thing is the effects. Some of it does not still hold up as well as it did in 2004. Despite this one actually winning Best Visual Effects, to be the only Marvel film at the time to actually win an Oscar for its visual effects. And yeah, I will admit, the train scene is pretty good until some spots. But stuff like Dr. Ock's lair sinking, I don't know. I think some of these effects don't really hold up as well. That's Spider-Man 3 is the only one I think that actually has good effects. But anyway, what's so great about this movie is that it actually is about the cost of being a superhero and what really a life would be for a superhero, and not like Batman where he's just rich. It's for someone who is just a regular guy who still has to have a regular job, has to have, has to pay rent, has to go to school. And it does that perfectly. I mean, this is Roger Ebert's favorite superhero film at the time, and I still think it is one of the best superhero films. Again, the first two Spider-Man and The Dark Knight, it is just, those are the best superhero films. And I know as I'm saying this, I know Spider-Verse, I haven't not seen Spider-Man, I haven't rewatched Spider-Verse yet, as I'm watching all these movies, but overall, Spider-Man 2 is definitely one of the best superhero films, and it's still got a lot of great stuff going for it, and also just a great performance by Alfred Molina. And this is kind of when James Franco's character is acting somewhat is decaying in these movies. I don't know.
Pisses me off your loyalty to Spider-Man and not your best friend. I find him with my father's body and you defend him because he's your bread and butter.
Take it easy.
Hey, don't push me. Don't act like you're my friend. You stole MJ from me. You stole my father's love. And you let him die because he didn't turn in the freak. Isn't that right? Huh? Isn't that right? Huh, brother?
So Spider-Man 3, I know there's a lot of people that like it. There is somewhat of a growing love for this movie, but no, it still doesn't work. And the biggest issue is that it is too much stuff going on, and this is obviously when the Spider-Man movies would face a big problem, and that is just Sony taking control of the franchise and what they want to do with it. And as you all know, Sam Raimi didn't really care for Venom at all. He didn't really want to do Venom. And you could just really just tell how much he doesn't care for Venom, because Venom, he just comes into the movie and he just dies. And this movie was supposedly going to be two parts, or one of the writers suggested that it should have been a two-part movie. But anyway, it just has so much stupid stuff in it. Just a lot of dancing for some reason in this movie. This movie has a big thing for dancing. Storylines that just have, the whole thing with Harry and Peter, it's just kind of ended on a kind of a weird note, or just this how the movie just handles it is not good at all. But yeah, that's not handled well. I think to be honest, Topher Grace, I'm split on him if he's good as Eddie Brock, because I think as Eddie Brock, he's actually good, but I know what they're going for. They want him to be kind of Peter's rival, actual rival on looks or something. I think that's good, but also just I gotta really point out that this is definitely where MJ kind of becomes such a, it's worse. And I'm actually excluding the whole thing when she's a damsel, because I don't know if anyone, no one actually seems to notice this, but at least she actually tries. She tries to actually fight the villains in the sequels. That's what I started noticing. But no, she's just an overall, she gets really annoying, or just kind of just dislikable, and especially in this film, and in just a lot of scenes where Peter's actually trying to be helpful to her. And again, I gotta just say, there's too many plot lines happening. There's all, the Sandman, who, Sam Raimi wanted, he's just kind of there. I know, it's supposed to somewhat help in the story, but it just kind of, feels weird on how, there's nothing really that much concludes, or, even, if they, I even wonder, if they made Spider-Man 4, how are they actually going to address, because, Sandman survives, is he still, in New York City? Did he leave? I mean, is Spider-Man going to take notice that there's still there's a guy with, a sand mutation out there in the world? I don't know, but, Spider-Man 3, it's just overall too much stuff happening and too much cringy stuff, and I still don't think it's as good, and it's just because Sam Raimi did not get to make the movie he wanted overall, which is sad because this is over. Like, the first two films are so good, and then Sam Raimi wanted to make 4, and 4 never worked out, and then Sony, for some reason, forced them to reboot, despite the fact that Spider-Man 3 wasn't really that universally panned. Like, Spider-Man 3 should have been, like, the warning sign, or, like, should have been, like, or, like, it wasn't, like, really, like, bad as Batman and Robin, where it was like, oh, we have to restart. It wasn't that bad, guys. It wasn't that bad. But, and sadly, and I would love to see a continuation of both Spider-Man 2 and 3. Yes, I think 3 just, you kind of have to. It would be important. And, but if they are, definitely you gotta bring back Sam Raimi so we don't get something like Superman Returns, which just repeats the first Spider-Man or Superman, if that just happens. But overall, I love the Raimi films. It's perfect comic book cheese, and it's something that the MCU just cannot recapture. So yeah, that's my review, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and join me next time as I look at the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And wow, if I have not seen I've not seen those films, like, after Civil War. I stopped watching those movies once Tom Holland came into the picture. So can't wait to go down that memory lane. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and keep a lookout for part 2.